Hey everybody, it's Jason from Curious About Cannabis. Hope you're all doing well in these interesting and kind of crazy times we live in. We have a big announcement to make that I'm really excited about. On August 1st, the second edition of the Curious About Cannabis book is going to be coming out. I've put a ton of energy into this. I mean, really, it's been years and years in the making. The first edition came out in 2018, and then fast forward 2 years later, we're getting the second edition out. And the second edition is over 100 pages longer than the first edition, just to give you some sense of how much has been added and updated. It clocks in at over 400 pages and covers all sorts of cannabis science and cannabinoid science topics, ranging from the history of the plant, cannabis taxonomy, cannabis botany, the chemistry of the plant, the science and technology around cannabis extraction and cannabis testing, what we know about the endocannabinoid system and the endocannabinoid dome, which, if you're not familiar with that word, you'll be learning more about that soon on the podcast, as well as medical research, what we know about the potential risks of cannabis use. And it's got hundreds of citations, lots of recommended resources. And for this edition, I even threw in hands-on activities that I suggested as well, now that hemp is federally legal in the United States and people are able to actually get their hands on cannabis in some form and play with it. I thought it was a good opportunity to start introducing science experiments with cannabis. So check it out. August 1st, it'll be out. The Kindle version, if you're into ebooks, is already available to pre-order on Amazon. Just search for Curious About Cannabis Second Edition and you'll find it there. And, I wrote this book. I'm a science educator, and I wrote it for other science educators as well as lifelong learners that want to teach themselves about cannabis. So, I'm really hoping that this can be a resource that a lot of you can use to have some reliable information about the science of cannabis that tries, I try to keep my own biases in check, and we all have biases, but I really tried to keep them in check and try to be relatively objective in what I presented. And I hope to see it in colleges and universities, as well as private institutions that are doing cannabis and cannabinoid science education. I'm already talking to a couple of colleges that are talking about adopting it for some of their newer cannabinoid science programs. So I'm really excited about this. It's a really big deal to me, and I would really appreciate it if you check it out. If you want to get updates on the release of the book and other things going on with Curious About Cannabis, you can go to cacpodcast.com and sign up for our newsletter, and you'll get updates that way. We don't send a lot of updates. We don't spam you or anything like that. You'll just get an email towards the end of the month about the release of the book, and then every month or two you might get an email from us about things that we have going on. But anyway, thank you all so much for your support, listeners to the podcast, subscribers on the YouTube channel, our patrons on Patreon, all of you that are supporting the work that we're trying to do here. I really appreciate it, and I want you to know that it really means a lot to us, and the podcast wouldn't be continuing without your support. This book wouldn't even happen without your support. So thanks. I really appreciate it. So anyway, August 1st, the second edition of the Curious About Cannabis book. Check it out. I really hope you like it. I think you will. And I hope it adds value to you in some way. So take it easy. Stay safe out there. Bye-bye.